I want to acknowledge first that we have worked extremely hard to get to this day. It's been a long and difficult journey with both sides standing strong for the principles they deeply believe in. My actions have always been guided by a strong belief that a contract should fairly compensate firefighters for the dangerous work they do every day and be affordable to the residents of our city. When I first took office, I inherited 11 years of unresolved contracts with Local 799, dating back to 1992. We began the hard, difficult work of slogging through this unfinished business, one by one, trying to reach resolution. Negotiations were extremely difficult and sometimes even bitter, but we forged ahead. Each year brought us a little closer through arbitration and negotiations that were ongoing. A recent arbitration decision helped to break the logjam by settling two key issues: the long-standing disputes over health insurance copays and wages. This provided a real opportunity and the framework to conclude the remaining years. As a result, I'm pleased to announce that we have reached a tentative agreement with Local 799 that is fair to our firefighters and fair to the taxpayers of Providence. These contracts over 4 years provide $16 million in savings for the taxpayers of our city. The tentative agreement includes a 15% health insurance copay, provisions for greater management flexibility, modifications in pension benefits for new hires, and wage increases for past years consistent with other city unions. Local 799 has also agreed to a wage freeze for this fiscal year and to the end of fiscal year 2011. This contract also includes reductions in holiday and vacation pay. I want to thank the members of the negotiating team on both sides for their hard work. I particularly want to acknowledge Rich Kerbel, the Director of Administration, and Chief Farrell for their tireless efforts. I also want to take a moment to thank the brave men and women of the Providence Fire Department for the extraordinary job they do every day. It's very important to recognize that even in the midst of the most difficult and contentious periods in this negotiation process, the men and women of the Providence Fire Department continue to provide quality service to the residents of our city without exception. Whether it's running into a burning building to save a life, providing life-sustaining support to a victim in distress, or strengthening the city's emergency preparedness efforts, residents can always count on the great men and women of the Providence Fire Department to be there when we need them. They continued to make a difference in the lives of our residents throughout this entire process. We have one of the most professional fire departments in the country. This new collective bargaining agreement will lay the foundation for strengthening our department as it continues to provide excellent service to the residents of our city, and will do it in a way that saves taxpayer dollars. I want to conclude with one final recognition, and that is for the Chief of the Providence Fire Department, George Farrell, who throughout this very difficult process has remained committed to public safety, fiscal responsibility, and the great professionals of this department. He is a national leader in fire safety, and I thank him for his service to our city. Thank you, and I'm happy to take questions.
Now, what should we make of the finding that this dispute has lingered throughout your 7+ years as mayor? Now you're running for Congress, and here you have a tentative agreement.
The resolution of these remaining years has come about as a result of 7.5 years of slogging through a contract since I took office. As I mentioned, when I took office, I inherited 11 years of unfinished contracts. We began the work to get through those, both through negotiations and through the arbitration process. And most recently, we had an arbitration decision that really broke a logjam on two very contested issues: sharing of health care costs and wages. And once that impasse was broken and that arbitration ruling was delivered, and when we learned actually as far back as December what the likely decision would be with respect to a co-share, it allowed us to come back to the table to resume productive discussions and to reach resolutions for the remaining years.
Did the city intensify its efforts within the last couple of months?
No, I mean, we have been intensely pursuing resolution of this for almost 7.5 years. I think what was really different is that once the arbitration ruling awarded a co-sharing of health care costs, which was one of the hotly contested and disputed issues and settled the wages for the years that were settled in an arbitration. It gave us the opportunity to really set the framework for resolving the balance of the years.
Can we get a comment from
Sure.
Mr. Gowdy on the same question about the timing of this tentative agreement?
Yes, it's...
Could you address the microphone, please?
Sure. The negotiations had been actually going on and off for the last 7 years, but really since, as the mayor said, since December, we had been a little shuttle diplomacy going on, and we were able to kind of, both sides come to the realization that there was going to be a copay and it was going to be a fixed dollar amount. And I do agree that I think that really provided some impetus for us to begin moving forward. And I have to admit that despite what's going on over the last couple of years, that we sat down anew and without bringing any of that baggage into the room, and we're able to move forward.
When does the membership vote?
We haven't set an exact date. It'll probably be within 2 weeks. We have a meeting to present this tentative agreement to the membership tomorrow.
Well, the arbitrator's decision, is that pretty much what we're looking at here? Break this down for us. We're talking, was it a 2.5% raise?
Yes, the arbitrator awarded 2.5% in 05-06 and 3.5% in 06-07. And as we said, that really set the template for us in terms of the wages and in terms of the health care co-share. And with that, those amounts set, we were able to put it on a trend line and keep it in line with both the increase in the cost of health care as well as the raises that are in a few of the years. Some years we took a zero, but we tried to make sure that the health care didn't eat up all the raises.
And how confident are you that the membership will, in fact, accept this agreement?
I'm fairly confident. I think that when they look at what's in the agreement based on where we were in the arbitration award, in the reality of where we are economically, both the city, the state, and the country, that they'll think that this is a fair agreement. There are a couple novel things that we put in to help address health care costs in general, aside from the co-share, and we think that it's a win-win-win, actually, a win for the firefighters, a win for the city, and ultimately a win for the taxpayers. And they address how we are able to get our actual prescriptions and some incentives to use generics. It's kind of some wonkish stuff, but it does help drive down the health care costs or control it.
Thank you all. Thanks, Chief.